Welcome and congratulations. You are taking time to improve your presentation skills. I love it because the world deserves better presentations. Now, presentations and communication skills are a critical leadership trait. How do you communicate your idea? How do you win other people for your idea? How do you get them excited? This is what you will experience during the next 60 minutes. 60 minutes with condensed insights from my over 30 years of speaking and presenting. Our motto at P&G is called Make an Impact from Day One. Looking back, I can say that I could make an impact not only early on in my career, but throughout. And so far, I had 14 different jobs and 24 different bosses. What I like about this is that throughout all these roles, you get continuous support, you get coachings and trainings helping you to make an impact. This is also my aim for today, to make an impact in a way that you can make an impact. You can make a stronger impact with your next presentation. Over those 30 years, I learned a lot and I changed a lot, even though, see, my posture remained the same. About 10 years ago, I decided or had the idea to share my learnings with my local colleagues in Germany. And eventually, this small little idea turned into a global program, allowing me to travel the world, to train my colleagues in face-to-face sessions, and since COVID, also virtually. In 2015, we started sharing video learning nuggets via our internal video learning platform and scaled this to YouTube about 2 years ago with the aim to reach students. So students that might become our future colleagues can see what kinds of tips we have around presentations and communications. And this is also the idea behind today. Our first LinkedIn Live presentation training, which I developed completely from scratch, just for today. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. And even more, I hope so, you will be able to make an impact. So much for the credits and the promotion. Now to my promise. After today's session, you will no longer look at a presentation or at a presenter in quite the same way. If you think, hey, Jürgen, this is far too dangerous for me, you can click the disconnect button at any point in time. If you stay connected and have a question, you can go to slido.com, #LinkedIn, or scan the QR code to ask any question you might have. Of course, it should be presentation related. You can also vote for questions of other colleagues, of other people, so that they come at the top when I answer them during the last 10 to 15 minutes of today's session. Now, to see if this Slido is working properly, we'll start with a short poll. And the question here is, where do you connect from? From which country do you connect from? So just type in the country where you're connecting from, and we'll see on the word cloud here if this is going to work out fine. All right. Switzerland, USA, wonderful. Germany, what is this? Colombia, oh, Switzerland is big this day. United States, yes. Indonesia, wow. Belgium, with Luigi, hello Poland, I'll be in Poland next week. Wonderful. Hong Kong, Netherlands, Brazil, wow. US, India, hello, wow. It's amazing. Thank you so much for connecting from all over the world for this session today. And today you will experience, wow, it continues here, but I think we switch back to the presentation because today you'll experience something new, something maybe unexpected. Usually when I talk about presentations, I teach from an audience point of view. And the audience is important. Nancy Duarte says, the audience is king. And it really is. Now today, I want to shift, I don't want to ignore the audience, but I want to shift the focus a bit towards you as a speaker. Because when you look at your day-to-day work, presentations play a minor role. The majority of time is filled with the important stuff. Now, when you look at your visibility on the impact you make on others, presentations play a huge role, not just with regards to the impact you make on your boss. That means when you present, you are not only presenting your topic, but much more, you are presenting yourself. This is why you should present with all that you've got, which means present with your head. This is the rational part of your presentation. This is where it's about data, information, knowledge. That's where you show that you are the expert. Present with your heart. This is where you share your emotions, where you touch your audience on an emotional level. And your hand. This is about your performance, your body language, specifically your hands and how they affect your message. So head, heart, hand. This is addressing people in a way that they can listen and that they want to listen as well. Well, let's start with the head. In today's world, we are overloaded with stimuli. We simply have too much. Our brain, on the other hand, prefers clarity. Therefore, provide clear ideas and a structure that is easy to understand. If I ask you to find the green cow, well, it's possible, you will find it, but it can be much easier. Rows and columns already help a lot, but we can go even one step further. A structure that is not only spread out evenly, but arranged by colors and shapes. Here we'll be able to find the green cow quickly. A former training participant did a great job because he applies this to his job. He's this farmer here. Look at this table, wonderfully arranged. Up here, there's some opportunities, but overall, he does a great job. So I can find what I want quickly and pick it and buy it. And what is true for shopping is as true for your presentation. You need to have a simple structure and guide your audience with the structure from where they are today to where you would like them to be. Unfortunately, all too often, it looks like this, a complete mess. So no wonder that both the audience and you risk of losing your way and getting lost. Now, how do you guide with the structure? Oftentimes, I see something like this, an agenda. And then the speaker talks through the agenda points. And once he reaches the bottom of the slide, flips to the next slide, the audience has forgotten almost everything he just said. Why not just say, instead of this, you say, today it's all about the 7 reasons why you should work with us. And then your audience knows, okay, now he talks through 7 reasons, and you can say reason 1, 2, 3, and your audience always knows where you are and how many reasons are still to come. A few years ago, I was invited to speak at a retail conference about the future of the physical store, of the bricks and mortar store, given the boom in e-commerce. My starting sentence was, we still have time to convert the store into a place that continuously attracts shoppers. But how? By using 3 magnets. First, the trust magnet, trust through insights. Second, the simplification through service. And finally, excitement through inspiration. Trust, simplification, excitement. 3 magnets, a simple 3-point structure as we have it today with head, heart, hand. Here I'm using an alliteration, a rhetorical device, the same starting letters, which makes it sound nice, more complete, and it makes it more memorable. Plus visual support of colors and icons. Next, delight with simplicity. Now, simplicity does not mean simplistic, shallow, over simplifying complex things. Simplicity means striving for clarity, clarity of thought, boiling down a complex issue to its core. Mark Twain said, I'm sorry for writing a long letter. I didn't have time to make it shorter. Which means it gets long and boring all by itself. To make it anything else, you have to invest time. You have to invest time to make it easy, to make it simple for your audience. Nobel Prize winner and psychologist Daniel Kahneman explains that we have 2 ways of thinking fast and thinking slow. Fast thinking works subconscious, emotional, in search of general concepts. It influences 95% of all of our decisions. Thinking slow works consciously, logically, with full brain power, and it exhausts us very quickly. Let me illustrate this to you with a little exercise here. Now, if I would ask you to do these additions, in the first one, your brain probably responds with 19 without even asking for it. The second one, your brain says, well, I can do that. The third one, yeah, I can do that. The fourth one, no way. So this is from fast to slow thinking. Not only does our brain have a limited capacity to absorb information, it also quickly loses interest if things get too complicated, which is why you have to make it as simple as possible. You have to use or activate the fast thinking in your audience's brain as often as possible. Now, talking about simplicity, please recall that in most cases, you don't talk to scientists or to an audience that demands something rather complex. Sheena Iyengar from Columbia University did an interesting experiment. She offered one group of shoppers 24 different jars of marmalade, jars of jam, and another group had 6 variants, and they were asked to purchase. Interestingly, the group with the 24 variants, only 3% bought. From this group here, 30% bought, 10 times as many. Now, what is true for jam is as true for your presentation. If you use too much, it will jam up the brain of your audience. This also nicely illustrates that we base our decisions not on the number of arguments, but on the ease with which you can understand these arguments. Harvard Business Review features psychologist Barry Schwartz, who says more isn't always better. And he goes as far as to say that having too much may even increase the sense of well-being. And that's the last we want for our presentation. Talking well-being. If you think of your presentation to be a burger, you have an opening, a body, and an ending. Question: how do most presentation burgers look like? Exactly. There is too much meat. Not too much meat is not bad per se, but I think this will influence your well-being, and it will make this whole thing indigestible. So we have to cut out slices to make it digestible. Now, what does this mean for your presentation? Instead of showing all data, all text, all numbers on a slide, focus on the most important fact only and reduce the text to the absolute minimum. This way, your audience listens to what you say and doesn't read what's on the slide. That's an important thing to remember. Your slide should never be the handout. If you present off the handout, it will be pretty boring. Personally, I would go even as far as this. This creates curiosity in your audience's mind because they think, okay, what is 50% all about? And then you reveal that this is the amount of work that will be automated in the future. And you can show this afterwards, but this is my preferred way of doing it. Now, looking at this chart here, you don't need to show all nitty-gritty details, all the numbers, all the labels. Just focus on the information which is relevant for your audience to get your point, to understand your point. Simplicity. In 1980, 40 years ago, 1983 actually, Apple launched the Mac Lisa computer. They launched it with a 9-page ad in the New York Times. 9 pages full of technical details and geek speak. The computer was a massive failure. The mastermind behind this 9-page New York Times ad was no other than Steve Jobs himself. And we know him from these amazing keynotes, from his amazing, simple, short messages. So there is hope for all of us. Because 25 years after the launch of this computer, Steve Jobs launched another computer, and he came on stage with this business envelope, opened it, and in a powerful way, he communicated his message of the world's thinnest notebook. 4 words that went around the globe in record time. Steve Jobs knew that great communication is simple communication. Or as Da Vinci put it, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Be sophisticated in simplifying your content. Finally, surprise with a structure. Surprise with statistics. Statistics and facts will help to make your presentation understandable and credible. They will provide evidence and help to construct a sound argument. But use them wisely and use them in a way that they become vivid. This is what I mean with surprise. Don't show just a bunch of facts and data, but put them into context. Make them relatable for your audience. Some time ago, I was invited by my Gillette colleagues in Boston. They wanted to know more about retailing in Germany. So I could have shown a table with the number of supermarkets across the globe, the land area. Maybe I added a graph, but this is just information. Okay, I could have gone one step further, do some analysis and tell them that in Germany, we have 20 times as many supermarkets as we have in the US if you take the same square kilometer spaces. Good chart, powerful chart. Yet I didn't use it. Instead, I said, picture 2 US supermarkets. And as you drive from one supermarket to the other, you pass by 20 other supermarkets. Welcome to Germany. You felt the difference of this kind of picture I painted, which makes it very memorable. This is what I mean with surprise with statistics. You can show this data later on to this graph. But if you paint a picture like this, it makes it so much more memorable and so much more engaging and surprising, of course. Some time ago, I talked about sustainability. And as one example, I used those 2.8 billion paper cups that we consume in Germany every year, not just for coffee, for everything. Now, 2.8 billion, is it a lot? Is it little? I don't know. In business, we often deal with huge numbers, but oftentimes people cannot put those numbers into context. So what did I do here? I told the audience, if you stack these 2.8 billion paper cups into each other, you would get a stack that reaches from here, from downtown Frankfurt to Hawaii. This makes this number surprising. Is it vivid? Here's another surprise. Imagine you work in sales. So I work in sales. If I tell my boss, hey boss, my weekly sales declined by 9% from last week to this week. It's maybe not the surprise I want from my boss. So how can I surprise him? I show a longer term trend and all of a sudden, hey boss, you see, our business is on a run. You're on a momentum. Surprise with statistics, delight with simplicity, and guide with a structure. One more thing. A practical tip for charts, for graphs, for your next presentation. Imagine you want to show such a chart to illustrate the online business, the online players. Now, the first thing I would do is delight with simplicity. I would take out the bottom part. Nobody needs to know the date. This is not a handout. This is my presentation slide. So take out all the nitty-gritty details. We don't need it. Then you look at the graph. Okay, you have the logos, you have the labels. Maybe the logos are fully sufficient. All right. Now you look at the numbers. 64 billion, 252 million point. Give me a break. Nobody can understand these numbers. So let's round them. You may say, hey, Jürgen, this is a picture I copied from the internet. I cannot round them. Okay, then retype the numbers in PowerPoint and create your own graph, and then you can round the numbers, and it makes it very easy for your audience to understand these numbers compared to what you had before. But now comes your moment. Now comes the moment when you surprise your audience with statistics, because you put this whole thing into context by saying, Amazon sells more online than its next 9 competitors combined. And this PowerPoint morph transition nicely supports your point. Now, one comment on transitions and animations. Use them rarely. Use them only when they emphasize what you want to say, when they elevate what you want to illustrate. And hopefully this example showed you what the differences makes in showing the data like this or like I showed it before. And recall what we said at the beginning, it is all about your visibility. the impact you make on others. Continuing with the heart. Moving from the head, the thinking, to the heart, the emotions, the feeling. Thinking leads to considerations. Emotions lead to decisions. Or as wonderful Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Now, how do you touch the heart? One idea, tell stories. Stories are a key ingredient of every good presentation. They vitalize a presentation in the way that salt enhances soup. Without it, soup tastes bland. Stories have real power.
People vote not so much based on policy, not even based on facts. They vote on stories.
Stories beat statistics every time. Ronald Reagan was aware of that too. In 1980, he said, before you vote, ask yourself if you are better off today than you were 4 years ago. Now, he could have quoted numerous statistics to visualize the sluggishness of the economy. That's what you usually tend to do. We tend to make our case with a number of facts and data. But this was the winner for Reagan. Now, let me share two personal examples, two personal stories that I used. The first example was from a conference of an automotive supplier where I spoke a few years ago. I started by saying, today I came with my Ferrari. It is a really special Ferrari. It is already 50 years old. And to come with this Ferrari, I had to go back to my early childhood and to my Lego toys. The red bricks only, of course. And from these red bricks, I rebuilt this amazing Ferrari that my brother and I used to build back in the day. And I showed them the features of this amazing Ferrari and even brought this Ferrari on stage. Concluding in, now today it's not about this Ferrari, nor is it about Lego, but it is about the 5 key building blocks for da-da-da-da-da. Now, hopefully you can imagine what a difference this makes in starting with such a story. I assume many people in the audience saw themselves back in their childhood playing with their Lego toys or other toys. It is touching the heart. It makes it more emotional. Now, it is important that you connect your story to your message, to your presentation, like I did with the 5 building blocks, the bricks. You may say, hey, Jürgen, I like the story, but I don't feel comfortable in sharing such personal, such private information. This is fine. I can understand this. In this case, you can tell stories of other people, like I did here. Stockholm, 10. Dezember 1918. Max Karl Ernst Ludwig Planck, kurz Max Planck, erhält den Physik-Nobelpreis für die Entdeckung der Quantentheorie. Als Nobelpreisträger reist er durch ganz Deutschland und hält Vorträge zur neuen Quantenmechanik. Immer mit dabei sein Chauffeur. Bald kennt der Chauffeur das Gesagte auswendig und so erlauben sich die beiden einen Spaß. In München hält der Chauffeur den Vortrag und Planck hört im Publikum als Chauffeur zu. Prompt stellt ein Physikprofessor eine knifflige Fachfrage. Und Plancks Fahrer antwortet, nie hätte ich gedacht, dass bei einem solch fachkundigen Publikum wie hier in München jemand eine so einfache Frage stellen würde. Ich werde meinen Chauffeur bitten, sie zu beantworten. The audience reaction shows the power of such a story. If you are interested to understand how I connected this story to the topic of my presentation, you can check on my LinkedIn account where I'll publish the full video soon. Interestingly, only 1 in 10 speakers tells a story. Be one of them. Next ignite excitement. This is exactly the opposite of what we experience day in, day out. Usually, I think so, it goes like this. The famous death by PowerPoint. To avoid this, share your excitement, your passion, your enthusiasm, your belief in your content. This touches the heart and it is infectious. Agustinus says, what you want to ignite in others must first burn inside yourself. Now you may ask, okay, how do I get the fire burning? How do I get excited? Alison Wood Brooks from Harvard, she did an interesting research. She asked a group of students before a presentation to say out loud, I am excited. Another group was asked to say, I am calm. Interestingly, the I am excited group was rated by external evaluators as less nervous, more competent, and even more persuasive. So she believes that you can trick your brain to simulate excitement by saying out loud before your presentation, I am excited. I am excited about this speaking opportunity. Or you can picture yourself being excited. Recall a situation where you have been excited. And finally, identify exciting outcomes. What would be the most exciting outcome for your presentation? And here is my personal master, my personal role model of excitement. This is Hans Rosling, a former professor of health from Stockholm. And check out how he presents his data with what kind of excitement.
Here we go. Can you see there? It's China. They're moving against better health. They're improving there. All the green Latin American countries, they are moving towards smaller families. The yellow ones here are the Arabic countries, and they get larger families, but longer life, but not larger families. The Africans are the green down here. They still remain here. This is India. Indonesia is moving on pretty fast. And in the 80s here, you have Bangladesh still among the African countries there. But now Bangladesh, it's a miracle that happens in the 80s.
Would you have believed that presenting statistics could be this animated and engaging? This exciting? Was a secret, wasn't it? A secret is also something that ignites excitement. We all love secrets. A puzzle that is worth solving, a mystery you uncover. It's a powerful tool to ignite excitement, sharing a secret. Now I checked in the dictionary and it says a secret, okay, it's a noun, and it continues to say, a secret is something you tell everybody to tell nobody. Humor is another great way to ignite excitement. But of course, it has to be humor that fits your content. It's not just telling any joke. And the final example to ignite excitement is to tell a real personal story, to tell something really personal about yourself. This is Roland Provençal, our former Senior Vice President of Sales of Europe. During a goodbye celebration for his former boss, he gave a speech, and after 10 minutes, he said, Marilyn, with you, I could show my true colors. With you, I could really be who I am. Thank you for this. Wow, what a powerful, what an emotional message. He shared something very personal about himself. He gave us, the audience, a glimpse of himself. This is touching the hearts. This is igniting excitement. And finally, pictures, visuals can also touch the heart. Look at this picture, yeah? Kind of sad picture. You feel compassionate. Now, pictures work better than text. Our brain processes pictures 60,000 times faster than text. So use pictures. Black and white pictures, colorful pictures, and use them full screen. Very powerful. Now, some people do this because they think, okay, when they talk about adventure, maybe somebody is scuba diving, so let's add a scuba diving picture. One picture is always more powerful than several pictures. Now, this arrangement of pictures is good, and it's much, much better than what I often see, because oftentimes I see something like this. People search for pictures and just place them randomly on the slide. It's ugly, even with this ugly template background. So remove this crazy template. If you cannot make the picture background transparent, make the slide background white. and focus on one picture only. In most countries, we read from the left to the right. The picture is the attention grabber. So if you put the picture on the left, reading is much easier for us as an audience. I hope you sense the difference from here to here. Reading goes easier. And then you could also leverage the mirror neurons in our brain. Mirror neurons do what their name says. They mirror behavior. So for example, if you see a baby like this, you mirror his behavior and your eye gaze goes directly to the number. The baby catches the attention, but then the mirror neurons fire and you follow the eye gaze of the baby. Powerful. My personal favorite would be this. And you can see touching the heart in a different way than such a picture. Now, please don't use these kind of pictures. They are cliché images. How often have I seen these pictures when somebody talks about collaboration or partnership? It's boring. Also here, this is cliché. How often have you seen such a picture? This is so much better. So use visuals, ignite excitement, and tell story to touch the heart of the audience. One more thing, a practical tip for pictures here. When you use pictures, please, please, please don't use pictures with watermarks. It just looks cheap, looks unprofessional. Buy the picture. And if you cannot afford the picture, then go to some of the websites for free pictures. I'll tell them to you in a few seconds. Yeah. Sometimes you have these kind of watermarks, or they're split out across the picture, the watermarks, ugly. So purchase the picture, get rid of the watermark, and only use high-resolution pictures. No pixelated pictures, please. And the most important thing with pictures need space. Good design has plenty of space. Think subtract rather than add. Tom Grimes, professor of journalism at the Kansas State University, he says, if you want people to understand better, get that stuff off the screen. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, he is a French aviator and author. He gave a great description or definition of engineering elegance. He said, a designer knows that it has achieved perfection, not when there is nothing left to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. So give pictures breathing space. And here are the two sites that give you free high-resolution images. You can search on these sites for royalty-free pictures. And with this, we move to the last part, the hand. Head, heart, hand. Now, what does hand mean? First, hands up for your delivery. Your hand gestures alter the perception of your presentation. There's this interesting piece of research from the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior. Two professors of cognitive psychology, Judith Holler and Jeffrey Barté, they found out that hand gestures increase the value of your message by 60%. 60%. Powerful, isn't it? Don't have your hands in your pockets and do the chicken dance. No, take them out and don't let them hang around here or there, but have them up here. If your audience can see your hands, it builds trust. And as you have them around here, stay inside the box. Yeah. So this is a good area from the top of your chest till the bottom of your waist. And here you can move with your hands, you can gesture with your hands. As you talk about your big business. Big business. Our business used to be small, but now it is big. And it took us many small little steps to get there. And there is one step that I really feel passionate about. Touching your heart, your chest. That's about emotions. That's about you. It's about our team. It's about our company. And when you involve the audience, use open palms. Yes, question, please. Yes, yes. Open palms, much better, yes, please, than the finger. And sometimes you may even go outside the box. You see here, I'm inside the box. Here, as I'm illustrating something on the slide or on the flip chart, I go outside the box. Up here, I talk about the future. Now, when you talk about the future, don't talk about the future, but talk about the future. Hold your position for a few seconds. This makes your message stronger. It gets more emphasis on what you want to say. And up here, who sings or who likes my very heavy American accent? You just raise your hand and your audience instantaneously knows they should raise their hand if they agree. You don't need to say, please raise your hand, just raise it. It's very simple. And here is my dear colleague, Alejandro Betancourt. He's a marketing vice president from Latin America. And I recorded this from a Teams meeting where he gave a training, and check out for his powerful gestures in a virtual meeting.
It also has to become a competitive advantage by helping us solve the right problems. The problem with problems, my dear friends, is that they always come framed to us, right? Someone else has given meaning to the problem by the time that problem reaches us.
Powerful, wasn't it? This is also what I like about P&G, that you meet, you work with those amazing colleagues and you learn from them. In this case, how you use your hands in a virtual meeting. So hands up. Next is hands-on for your audience. Make your presentation hands-on. Your audience should be the center of your presentation. When you're presenting, you are serving. Simon Sinek says, show up to give. Don't show up to get. So this means make it practical, make it tangible. That could be as easy as to mention people's names, as to give people names. So instead of talking about the IT manager, you talk about Susan Miller, or Susan Miller, the IT manager. This makes it more interesting, more approachable, and more hands-on. And here, Alex again, his prop. It's a powerful tool to make it hands-on. Props are great, virtually as well as in real meetings. When you come on stage with a prop, you get the immediate attention of the audience. It makes it hands-on. I showed you this example before. Now in the presentation session, actually, when I gave this speech, I used this magnet as a prop, as a hands-on tool. And throughout the presentation, I kept picking up this magnet, talking about certain things when I had this in my hand. In this speech, I even gave those two props, those two razors, into the hands of the audience so that I could experience the unboxing and the haptics of this razor. Makes it really hands-on. And today we also make it hands-on with this app, with Slido. There is Mentimeter, there's Kahoot, apps that engage in polls, in questions, in quizzes. This puts your audience at the center. Powerful tool to make it hands-on. Now, just a reminder, as we engage in the Q&A shortly, in case you haven't asked a question or in case you want to vote for the question, please go to Slido, scan the QR code, and then I'll check the questions in just a few minutes. 5 years ago or so, I was invited to this amazing retail conference in Vancouver. And the night before, there was a rehearsal. The two presenters that spoke before me, they used Mentimeter, one of those digital tools, to engage in a poll with the audience. I also wanted to use Slido to engage. But then I said, when I saw this, I said, okay, if I'm the third person using such a tool, it looks pretty boring, not innovative anymore. So that night I changed plans. The next day, as I engaged with the audience, I said, okay, let's do a quick poll. And for this poll, we are going to use the latest and greatest technology we have, the most innovative ones. It's called show of hands. People were laughing, we engaged in the poll, we had great fun, and I realized that sometimes the simplest tool can be the most powerful to make it hands-on for your audience. And finally, hands off your script. Know your talk like the back of your hand. Practice your talk, rehearse your talk. I know it comes last in the preparation and it is often skipped in the interest of time because many people prepare their presentation and finish at the last minute. It's not good. Rehearse, practice your talk. It's so important. And as you rehearse, stand on your feet and speak it out loud. Don't sit at your desk and go through your script in your mind. No, this won't work because the written word is not the spoken word. And as you speak it out loud, you learn a great deal. You learn if transition from one slide to the next slide makes sense. You hear yourself as you speak it out loud, which makes it more memorable. Now, my recommendation is practice, especially the beginning. That's when you want to catch the attention. In the first 20 seconds, your audience decides if they want to listen to you for the next 20 minutes. So practice the beginning and practice the ending. That's when you want to make it memorable. I suggest usually 1 minute presentation, 1 hour preparation. You probably all have seen one of these famous TED Talks from Simon Sinek, Amy Cuddy, Brené Brown, Ken Robinson. And when you see these people speaking, you may think, wow, these are naturally gifted speakers. They are just, they know their stuff. But let me tell you, they rehearsed like crazy. Forbes sings even up to 200 times and continues to say that practice is the one habit that transforms a merely good presentation into a TED-worthy performance. So rehearse your talk. Now you may say, Jürgen, what about spontaneity? Management guru Peter Drucker has some advice. Spontaneity is an infinite number of rehearsed possibilities. We all know this from comedians. Comedians practice their comedy show like nothing else. Every joke is rehearsed hundreds of times. So practice your talk. Practice will set you apart. Practice will boost your confidence. It will improve your body language. But above all, it will allow you to focus on your audience, to keep eye contact with your audience. Now today, I'm trying to look as often as possible into the camera. Of course, I prefer a live setting where people sit around me and can look into the eyes of the people, feel the connection, no matter how big the room is. It makes a big difference. If you look at the people, focus on the people. Now, if you know what you want to say, you can focus on the audience. So, hands off your script, hands on for your audience, and hands up for delivery. As you can imagine, I have one more thing. Now, to illustrate this one more thing, I have to leave this stage here. This is actually our German virtual studio. Exactly. I'm standing here in this green area. I don't see the slide that you see behind me. I'm just seeing green all around me. Now I have to leave this stage, go to the flip chart, because I want to illustrate something on the flip chart. So just come with me over here. And I would like to talk to you about the student syndrome. You may have heard about it. And I want to illustrate this on 2 axes. There is productivity and there is time. And oftentimes in the life of students, productivity is generally low. But then there is this deadline waiting on the horizon. And our student will do what he can do best, an all-nighter. Just before the deadline, productivity explodes. Maybe also thanks to ChatGPT, and he finishes his work on time. Some people stay students all their lives. Let me tell you, when it comes to presentations, this is not a clever thing to do. So make time your ally. Start early. And hopefully, this flip chart illustration showed you how hands-on and hands up plus hands off your script. I know what I wanted to illustrate, how this works. The flip chart is one of the most powerful presentation tools, but completely underutilized. It's so great and engaging with the audience. All right, let's finish it all off over there. So this was head, heart, hand. This is your formula for success. Present with all your heart what is in your head using your hands. Now it's up to you to decide if I kept my promise, that from now on, you will no longer look at a presentation in quite the same way. I really hope I met my promise, I kept it, and I also hope that I could illustrate that In the presentation, it's not only about your topic, but it is much more about yourself. You are the presentation. And that is why you should present with all that you've got.